dictionary definition of creativity is the use of imagination or ideas. I believe the first step in the creative process is the willingness to define yourself as an original, as an artist, as unique, the black sheep apart from the flock. In French, this translates to Mouton Noir. It just so happens that I have a company called Mouton Noir. All my friends call me Mouton, so I'm here today to school you on how to be a black sheep. First, I need everybody to pull out the name badges that you got, right? Just go ahead and put them on here, right? We got them all on there? Well, thank you very much for coming out. My job is done here, right? No, really, being a black sheep isn't about labeling yourself as one. For me, being a black sheep comes down to a few basic premises. Don't do what you're supposed to do. Winemaking was not a likely career path for me. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey. My family didn't own any vineyards. We didn't own a restaurant. We didn't have a wine cellar. My mother was a single mother who wore combat boots. Literally. We moved around a lot with the military. My first job was with McDonald's, but I was interested in food and wine. So from McDonald's, I moved on to Red Lobster, then the Palm, then better restaurants with better wine lists, right? You see, the most expensive entree in a restaurant could be $50. The most expensive bottle of wine could be $5,000. So a smart waiter always learned the wine list. And while initially driven by increasing my check average, I soon began to see that wine had a certain mystery and culture to it. I began to study wine lists from the top restaurants around the world, and I really immersed myself into the study of wine. Fast forward a few years, I had moved to Napa Valley to work for Thomas Keller at the French Laundry, which at the time held the esteemed title of being the best restaurant in the world. And then I went on and moved to New York to open up a sister restaurant called Per Se. As you might expect, I didn't look like any other sommelier in New York City. That's when people started to call me Mouton Noir, or Black Sheep. I could have felt a number of different ways about this, but I chose to feel empowered. I was unexpected. I was memorable. And yes, it was frustrating to tell guests over and over, yes, I am the sommelier when I came to their table. But I didn't have time to worry about that. I had a job to do. So most people would keep a job with the best chef in the world, with serious perks like 1929 Lafleur, the life of truffles, foie gras, and caviar, VIP treatment all over the city. But black sheep don't do what they're supposed to do. I quit. I started making my own wines. No startup, no insurance, no investors, pregnant wife. Number 2, don't be afraid to do it yourself. When I say don't be afraid to do it yourself, I really mean that. You might be so broke that you have to do it yourself. I needed some wine labels for some wines I was making out of California and Oregon, and I heard creative people use Macs. So I bought one on Craigslist for $200. I started fooling around with Adobe Illustrator and stuff. And just like when I first discovered wine, I discovered design. When I left restaurants, I figured the winemaking process would probably be the most creative, satisfying part. I wondered if I'd make classic wines that all my nerdy sommelier friends would pour for their friends at the bar. But starting to design labels was fascinating to me. I realized that I could pull from parts of my past that I didn't access in a while, like street art, skateboard culture, punk rock. So here we can see some of my labels here. So this is called Orgonia. This is a Pinot Noir that we make out of Oregon in the Willamette Valley. And so from here, we really pulled from my love of film. You can see from the border and the font around the side there, there's a little bit of a George Lucas influence. You know, so as a kid, I was fascinated with Star Wars. And every Tuesday, I would get an action figure for, I don't know, like 3 years. Here, other people's Pinot. We call it OPP for short. I don't need to explain that one, right? Everyone got that one, right? Montgomery Place. So I'm a first-generation winemaker, so we're not steeped in any type of history. So this is named after the street that my mom grew up in, Trenton, New Jersey. And this is because I thought it was funny. This is a rosé that we make called Love Drunk. It's probably the only label that actually has the word drunk on it. As you can see, my labels, because they don't have a picture of vineyards on it, or my dog, a chateau, or a duck decoy, they look a little different, right? I began to find my own style, and I began to design other things as well. Posters, bumper stickers, actually labels for other wineries. And then I started to make t-shirts. 3, don't dress the part. This is what a typical sommelier might look like. This is what a typical winemaker might look like. But I've always loved t-shirts. They're accessible, they're comfortable, they are like billboards, right? You can rally around them, they're a morale builder. We can make statements about what we stand for, how we're feeling in our beliefs. Whether or not my nerdy sommelier friends were pouring my wines for their friends, they were wearing shirts when counting inventory in the cellar. So you can see some of our t-shirts here. Right, I was really into sports, right? So this is Gruner Veltliner, which is a famous wine from Austria. I really love to drink it, and it kind of quenches my thirst like Gatorade, too. Right? I told you I worked in fast food, right? First job, so it's an homage to that. Barolo is the king of all Italian wines, right? So how fitting, right? Here we go. Domaine Dujac's a very esteemed, famous Burgundy producer in France. Becky Wasserman is the importer of fine Burgundies. DRC is short for Domaine Romani Conti, probably one of the most famous wineries in all of the world. And that's the picture I drew of Albert de Villaine, is the owner. I actually got a cease and desist over this one. Go figure. I did. Nebbiolo is the grape that's found in Barolo, right? I used to be a fan of Nintendo. And then Bone Thugs is some of my original designs there, right? So every so often, I have a big event, like this one, right? And the thought crosses my mind that I should wear a suit. Isn't that what I'm supposed to wear? I always kind of go over that in my head. I said, but I never end up wearing a suit. I want to create my wine, my art, my life on my own terms. And part of those terms is that I don't see wine as a status symbol or some type of exclusive club. I see wine as art, geography, history, a condiment to life. My mission is to make wine more accessible to everyone. And of course, not everyone feels this way. Some people prefer to sell the same wines to the same people who have always had access to those wines. I'd like to try a different approach. No. Don't seek approval. When you create something new, you have to get comfortable with presenting things to people that they don't know that they want yet. They are suspicious. They are dismissive, right? And they gossip about it with each other about what's wrong with it. But you have to believe in it. And you have to get used to being criticized by people who have never created an original thing in their life, right? Much wine sold in America is sold based off of ratings, such as points given in the Wine Spectator. I don't know if you guys know that, Wine Spectator. I don't submit my wines to be rated. Although it might be beneficial to my business to do so, I believe wine, like anything creative, is subjective. And I have to believe in the product. People will either like it or they won't. And if you get sucked into worrying about what other people think about you or what rating critics will give you to stick to your work, you get sucked into this black hole of anxiety. Put your energy into what feeds you. What feeds you? What feeds us all? Play. If we can have faith in what comes out in our play will feed our work, we can let ourselves dive into what's calling us. That nagging little question in the back of our minds, what we Google when everyone else in the house is asleep. Our real, unexpected, unpredictable, rabbit hole interests. So this year, I started to play with the idea of making my own coloring book. But of course, about food and wine. It's called Small Time Cooks. I wasn't really sure if it made any sense as a business, on the business level, but I was excited about it. The more I worked on it, the more fun I had. I started making mushroom word searches. You know this guy? Anthony Bourdain? Right? I started to make mazes in the shapes of tacos. One page even allows you to design tattoos on chefs. Another one lets you decorate a food truck like this one, Roy Troy. I chose some old school chefs, but even more the new ones that I was really excited about. So these days, I'm actually playing with a GoPro and wondering what kind of trouble I can get into. So everybody go play, make new shit. Cheers.